Welcome back to the Alex and Dom Show. I'm Alex,
And I'm Trey.
and today we're delving into the chilling topic that has left its mark on the annals of history: the top 10 most evil people to have ever walked the earth.
Sorry, you make us sound like dinosaurs.
Yeah, well, I mean, they all walked.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't
did,
crawl.
Well,
That and they're
they had to start crawling.
yeah, but they weren't evil when they were crawling. No one's an evil baby.
I don't know.
Oh, no one's an evil baby. These individuals have become synonymous with cruelty, tyranny, and the unthinkable atrocities that they've committed. Through their actions, millions have suffered, and the world has been scarred in ways that are hard to comprehend. The episode isn't for the faint of heart, but understanding these dark chapters of the history is crucial, lest we forget the depths of human depravity.
Yeah. What is it about learning history so it doesn't be repeated?
Yeah, stuff like that.
I have a faint
Something
heart.
that your history teacher.
My heart is faint.
Well, if you have a heart attack because of this podcast, then I think people will listen to it more.
Oh.
So let's start with number 10. Maximilian Robespierre, 1758 to 1794.
1758.
Yeah, he was born then. This is the years are birth and death.
Okay.
Maximilien Robespierre, a key figure in the French Revolution, began his political career as a champion of the common people, advocating for democratic reforms and the abolishment of the death penalty.
Oh, yeah. He sounds super evil.
Yeah, for real. Get rid of that death penalty, you evil bastard. However,
Sick freak.
as the revolution progressed, Robespierre's vision of a virtuous republic led him down a path of increasing radicalism.
I see.
As,
He went too far.
Yeah. As the leader of the Committee of Public Safety, Robespierre presided over the Reign of Terror.
How do you go from no death penalty to a reign of terror?
That's how quickly things can change. Like, power abhors a vacuum. So you get rid of the king, you have to something has to take its power.
Right.
A period from 1793 to 1794, during which the revolutionary government executed tens of thousands of people deemed enemies of the revolution. The guillotine, which Robespierre once saw as a humane method of execution, became a symbol of his tyranny.
Okay, so sounds like he is very much for the death penalty.
Yeah, and is it? I guess it is humane.
No, because it could not work, and then you have to do it again.
Yeah, but I mean, if they keep it sharp, like razor sharp, it's probably humane. People from all walks of life, nobles, peasants, even fellow revolutionaries, were sent to the scaffold on the flimsiest of accusations.
So he's crazy.
Yeah, fear and paranoia
Yeah.
gripped France as the revolutionary government turned on its own citizens.
That's what they all do. They all turn on their citizens.
Yeah. Robespierre justified the bloodshed as necessary to defend the Republic and preserve its ideas. But his actions only deepened the chaos and instability. His fall from power was so swift as his rise was. In July 1794, not 1994, 1794. He had a 200-year reign.
Yeah, he may or may not be a vampire.
Yeah. He was arrested and executed by guillotine, the very instrument he had used to instill fear.
Yeah, so he deserves.
Yeah, that's like that karma, poetic justice.
Well, definitely deserves the number 10 spot.
Yeah.
He's not scary enough to be even number 9.
I think that his descent into extremism and the sheer scale of the Reign of Terror is what earns him the place on this list.
Yeah,
How he went
I
from revolutionary to extremist in like a year. That is a huge transition.
I agree.
That's a bigger transition than Game of Thrones season 8.
He deserves to be on the list, but compared to other people,
Yeah.
he's a 10, and not in a good way.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, the 10. I mean, well, we're not going, it's going in order, but not, yeah, it's going in order. I put the list together. This is my personal opinion list.
Personal opinion.
Personal opinion. So if you don't agree with it, let us know in the comments. Number 9, Ivan the Terrible, 1530 to 1584.
Wait. You said the dates are death dates, not like
Yeah.
ruling dates or anything?
These are not ruling dates. These are birth and death dates.
Okay.
Ivan the Fourth, Vilazovich, known as Ivan the Terrible, was
So much easier.
was the first ruler to be crowned as Tsar of all Russia.
All of Russia.
All of Russia. And his reign was so as brutal as his title suggests. Ivan's early years were marked by the tragic death of his beloved wife, Anastasia Romanovna. It's Roman. It's almost like Romanov, but it has a "n" at the end of it. So Romanovna.
Yeah, Romanovna sounds right.
Yeah, which many believe triggered a descent into paranoia
His
and
stressor.
rage. Yeah, it's a stressor. His growing mistrust of the nobility or boyars, whom he suspected of poisoning his wife, led to a period of ruthless purges. They may have poisoned her. I don't know.
I was to say.
I mean, they may. I mean, who knows? I'm
him.
sure. Yeah, not him. He was just like they probably did it, and then that was enough for him. Ivan established the Oprichnina, a state policy that granted him absolute power and created a personal police force known as the Oprichnina. These men, dressed in black and riding black horses, became infamous for their cruelty. They carried out Ivan's will with unchecked brutality, executing and torturing any suspected of disloyalty.
So
like Hitler's
yeah.
secret police, or
Yeah.
Schutzwaffe, or what was it called? The SS. I think it's called S. We know it as SS, but I think it's in German. It's something else. The most infamous example of Ivan's cruelty, is the massacre of Novgorod in 1570. Oh God, I'm messing up these dates so bad. Where thousands of citizens were tortured and killed based on unfounded accusations of treason. The city, once a thriving hub of commerce and culture, was left in ruins. This man massacred an entire city.
Okay. How do we know that the claims of treason are unfounded?
For a whole city?
I mean, yeah, the whole city is kind of wild.
Yeah, like, I'm sure, like, I don't think everyone in that, it may be like one person, like, you committed treason, I'm going to kill your whole town.
Well, I mean, God did it, so.
Yeah, I know. So, I don't know. Ivan's violent temper was not limited to his enemies. In a fit of rage, he struck and killed his own son and heir, Ivan Ivanovich.
Ivan the, fifth?
Yeah. With a staff, leaving Russia without a competent successor. This act of filicide symbolized the destructiveness of his rule, tearing apart not just his family, but the future of Russia itself. Ivan's reign left Russia weakened and plunged into a period of turmoil known as the Time of Troubles. Probably sounds better in Russian, but that's what it's called, Time of Troubles.
The Times of Trouble is almost close to terrible, so.
Yeah. Times of Trouble.
Should have been like Times of Terrible Trouble.
Yeah. Just like with alliteration.
Yeah, put his name on it, though.
TTT. Terrible Troubles. Times of Trouble.
Thanks to Ivan the Terrible.
Yeah.
We had the trouble times.
So that gave him number 9 on the spot of the list. Number 8, King Leopold II of Belgium.
I can't imagine being on this list and having a name like Leopold. Leopold II. Well, Maximilian was kind of
Well, at least I
lame.
can pronounce this name. King Leopold II of Belgium's reign over the Congo Free State is one of the most egregious egregious examples of colonial exploitation and brutality.
Poor Congo.
I know. Unlike other European powers, Leopold's control of the Congo was personal, not national.
Personal.
Yeah. He claimed the vast territory under the guise of humanitarian efforts, promising to civilize and uplift the native population. In reality, the Congo became Leopold's private and personal enterprise, driven by his insatiable greed.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got to be greed.
The demand for rubber, which was booming due to the rise of automobile industry, turned the Congo into a site of mass exploitation. Indigenous people were forced into brutal labor conditions under that threat of death. Oh my God, I cannot read today.
They're like, listen, we need the rubber, okay? Because automobiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, the people are like, I don't think I want to do this. And he's like, do it or die. And they're like, LOL, just kidding. We'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Villages that failed to meet rubber quotas,
which were probably unrealistic, by the way.
Horrific reprisals. Hands and feet were severed as punishment.
Well, so that now they'll never be quota.
Yeah. A practice that became a symbol of Leopold's reign of terror. The rubber quotas were nearly impossible to meet.
See?
Leading to widespread starvation and death as communities were decimated.
And so there's so much crap.
Yep.
And they don't have hands and feet.
I know.
They're starving.
That makes it even more impossible
Yes.
to meet the quotas, unless they're like making rubber with their mouth. The atrocities committed under Leopold's rule led to a humanitarian outcry, with missionaries and journalists exposing the horrors to the world. It's estimated that the population of the Congo was reduced by half.
God.
Some 10 million people during this tumultuous period of time. 10 million people gone within one person's lifetime.
That's awful.
Despite the eventual transfer of the Congo to the Belgian government, I don't know why they didn't just give it back to the people of Congo, which ended Leopold's direct control, the damage had been done.
Obviously.
The legacy of exploitation and brutality and the dehumanization in the Congo remains a dark chapter in the history of colonialism.
Colonialism just isn't good.
They could have hey, we just killed 10 million people. My bad.
My bad.
You can have your country back.
No,
we're leaving.
They're like, actually, we're sorry, but we still want to control you.
I know. We're sorry, but we're still in charge. Number 7, Pol Pot.
I expected him to be higher.
Oh, really? Higher on the list? 1925 to 1998.
That is outrageous.
Yeah, he died.
Nobody should live that long.
I know. For real. Pol Pot, born Salah Sar, was the leader of the Khmer Rouge.
Why did he go by Pol Pot?
Well, I don't know. The Communist Party that ruled Cambodia from 1975 to 1979. So just 4 years. Remember that. 4 years.
That Pol Pot was in charge.
Yep. Pol Pot's vision was to create a classless agrarian society. And to achieve this, he attempted to erase all aspects of modernity and return Cambodia to the medieval state.
That seems like a weird thing to want to do.
Yeah. Obviously, he didn't read a history book. Medieval times was pretty shitty.
Maybe you couldn't read.
The utopian dream quickly turned into a nightmare.
As one does.
As Pol Pot implemented policies that led to one of the worst genocides of the 20th century. Upon taking power, Pol Pot ordered the evacuation of cities, forcing millions of people into the countryside to work in collective farms and labor camps. Intellectuals, professionals, and anyone associated with the old regime were targeted in mass purges.
Of course.
Wearing glasses or speaking a foreign
Oh.
language could be a death sentence.
Well, I mean, I have contacts, but I wouldn't have in the 70s?
Yeah.
Shit.
As these were seen to be signs of elitism.
Elitism?
Yep.
Well, I guess if you could afford glasses.
Yeah.
In
The
Cambodia.
regime's paranoia was such that even children were used to spy on their own parents. And entire families were executed for the smallest suspicion of dissent.
Even the spy?
Yeah. They would kill the children too.
What would be the point? Why?
Like, I mean, well, for one, the child has no idea what he's doing. Like, you're like, oh, like you're telling the kid, oh, like, oh, nothing will happen. You just let me know. And like, you know how they talk, like they make it seem like no one's going to get in trouble. And the kid doesn't understand. He's a freaking kid. He just wants to be a kid. And then says something to a teacher or to another adult. And then your whole family gets murdered.
And yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would think that would be, what is the word? The opposite of incentive for other children. I can't think.
Disincentives? Incentive? I don't know.
Unincentive? I don't know.
A warning?
Don't tattle on your family
yeah.
unless you know for sure.
Yeah, but
and
like
as a
I said,
kid,
they're kids. They
you don't know for sure.
The forced labor and starvation and executions led to the deaths of an estimated 2 million people, around a quarter of Cambodia's population. The infamous killing fields where mass graves were discovered stand as a stark reminder of Pol Pot's brutality. The Khmer Rouge's legacy of destruction devastated Cambodia, leaving scars that are still felt today. Pol Pot's radical vision and sheer scale of the suffering he caused secure his place as one of history's most evil figures. There was a huge influx of Cambodians into America, refugees, and
Especially people
other
with
places.
glasses.
Yeah, other places with that were probably near there. But I mean, it was. I think that it's probably comparable to the Jews in Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They were running for their lives, and like I said, he did all that in 4 years. 4 years. Number 6, Idi Amin.
Who?
Idi Amin.
Not what John Travolta called Adele.
No. 1925 to 2003.
Wait, what?
1925 to 2003.
2003.
Yeah, he died in 2003. Idi Amin, the self-proclaimed last king of Scotland,
That's not where I was expecting that to go.
ruled Uganda
Ah, that's even more.
with an iron fist from 1971 to 1979.
Wait, was he self-proclaimed?
Yeah, self-proclaimed. last
And they
king of
just let
Scotland.
him do this?
He was a warlord. Amin, a former soldier in the British colonial army, seized power in a military coup, promising to bring stability to Uganda.
Of course.
Instead, his rule became one of the most brutal and chaotic in African history. And this is like with Leopold in Congo.
I was going to say, Leopold in the Congo.
Amin's regime was characterized by extreme human rights abuse, including mass executions,
Of course.
ethnic persecution, and political repression. He ordered the expulsion of Uganda's Asian population, blaming them for the country's economic woes.
Huh. Hitler-esque.
Yeah. This expulsion led to the collapse of Uganda's economy, as many of the expelled Asians were the backbone of the commercial sector. Amin's secret police, the State Research Bureau, and other military units terrorized the population, carrying out extrajudicial killings and torture. It's estimated that 300,000 to 500,000 people were killed under Amin's rule. Amin's behavior became increasingly erratic over time. He declared himself president for life and bestowed upon himself numerous grandiose titles. His unpredictable and violent behavior earned him the nickname the Butcher of Uganda. Amin's reign of terror came to an end when he was ousted by Tanzanian forces and Ugandan exiles in 1979. He fled to Saudi Arabia, where he lived in exile until his death in 2003, never facing justice for his crimes. And the reason why I put him up so high on the list is because his famous use of child soldiers. Children, basically giving children AK-47s, sending them out, and getting killed. And basically raising these children to
Die.
become radicals and extremists and altering. And that's why a lot of the stuff has been felt for so many years in Uganda.
Well, it sounds like he did read a history book because he took right out of Hitler.
Yeah, like literally.
Except for the children.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah, Hitler used Hitler Youth.
Hitler used children.
Number 5, Joseph Stalin,
Stalin.
1878 to 1953. Joseph Stalin was the dictator of the Soviet Union from the mid-1920s until his death in 1953.
Wait a second. Okay.
Hmm?
In 1920s, it was called Soviet Union, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it was called Russia?
Yeah, before Lenin killed the Tsar,
Right.
it was just known as Russia.
And then now after, it's known as Russia.
It's known as, well, right now it's known as Russia. But during the Soviet Union, it was called the USSR. Soviet Union or something like that. I don't know.
I was wondering because it's interesting that they went from Russia to the Soviet Union to back to Russia.
Oh, yeah, they got rid of communism. They're not communists anymore.
Since when?
Since, the fall of the Berlin Wall. Since the 90s, I think.
Huh.
They became a Obergrockerian or whatever. Obergrockerian. Basically, the rich rule.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and Putin is in charge of the oligarchs or whatever they're called. Words. Anyways. Stalin's reign was marked by extreme repression, mass purges, and widespread fear.
Of course.
His policies and actions led to the deaths of millions of people, making him one of history's most notorious tyrants.
I know something about Stalin.
Yeah.
With the, it's called the Road of Bones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's concentration camps in Siberia. And
Siberia,
they just built the road over the dead people.
Yep. He was not a great dude.
This guy's definitely haunted.
Stalin's rise to power was ruthless.
Yep.
He systematically eliminated his rivals within the Communist Party, consolidating power and establishing a cult of personality. The Great Purge of the 1930s saw the arrest, execution, and imprisonment of millions of people accused of being enemies of the state. The purge extended to the military, when Stalin executed and imprisoned a large portion of the Red Army's leadership, leaving the Soviet Union vulnerable to external threats. This is all before World War II.
I was going to say, they're like...
This is before Germany's war machine started moving.
Yeah.
Or at the same time, really. And Soviet Union's just like, let's just kill a whole bunch of people. One of Stalin's most horrific policies was the forced collectivization of agriculture, which aimed to transform the Soviet Union into a socialist state. The policy led to the Holodomor, a man-made famine in Ukraine from 1932 to 1933,
Ukraine.
which resulted into the deaths of millions of people from starvation. Stalin's government denied the famine's existence, even as Stalin's paranoia extended to every corner of the Soviet society. Ordinary citizens lived in constant fear of being denounced as traitors, often based on the flimsiest evidence and even mere suspicion. So basically it was like, hey, this person doesn't like Stalin.
Yeah, this
Dead.
guy. I heard this guy say once.
Yeah, I
And
heard
then-
this guy say
The easiest way to get rid of your neighbors.
Anastasia was alive.
I heard something once. Oh,
Yeah, so that movie, Anastasia, was it called Anastasia?
are you
The
talking
cartoon?
About, yeah, it's called Anastasia.
So that whole them singing in St. Petersburg, that he would have killed all of them.
Yeah, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, that never would have happened at all. Neighbors, friends, and even family members turned against each other to save themselves from the secret police, the NKVD, which carried out Stalin's brutal purges.
I would have to make a lot of enemies
Yeah.
just to save myself and my family.
Yeah, that's pretty much how the witch trials happened. It was like you just pointed fingers to
Yeah,
other people.
Yeah, anything that seems slightly odd, they're like, oh, witch.
Yep.
Except for traitor.
Yeah. These purges weren't just limited to perceived enemies of the state. They also targeted ethnic minorities within the Soviet Union, whom Stalin saw as a potential threat to his power. So, the big thing in Nazi Germany, Jews, like that.
Mm-hmm.
The whole world at that point did not like Jews. Like, poor Jewish people. They just could not catch a break anywhere they went.
They faced persecution pretty much anywhere they went.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was one of those things.
I'm not talking just like, World War II time. I'm talking about like before that and before that.
Yeah, before that, after that.
After that.
So,
now.
Yeah, now. The terror inflicted by Stalin wasn't confined to the Soviet borders. After World War II, Stalin's expansionist policies imposed communist regimes across the Eastern Europe, leading to decades of repression behind the Iron Curtain. The legacy of Stalin's rule is a stark reminder of the destructive power of absolute authority, and the millions of lives lost under his regime make him one of history's most malevolent figures.
I guess all it takes to be a dictator, to get on this list, is extraordinarily paranoid.
Yeah.
No empathy, no conscience. Like, you can't be like, oh my God, I just killed people.
Yeah.
So.
Like, these are people with, like, good intentions pave the road to hell kind of thing. Like, these aren't people like this. This is they want power, and they will kill anyone to keep it and get it.
And they'll say anything either.
And they'll say everything, too.
In order to get to the power.
Yeah.
Oh, except for Stalin. Stalin just started out killing people.
Yeah. Number 4, Adolf Hitler.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be Hitler.
I mean, he's not number 1, so.
A lot of people.
And I'll explain why.
A lot of people put him at 1.
Yeah. I'll explain why we did not put him at number 1. The Alex and Dom Show. Adolf Hitler, the Führer of Nazi Germany. Oh, sorry, 1889 to 1945. Adolf
Allegedly.
Hitler, the Führer of Nazi Germany, is one of the most infamous figures in history, responsible for the outbreak of World War II and the genocide of 6 million Jews in the Holocaust.
Don't forget, he also killed handicapped people.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of people, a lot more than 6 million. It was just 6 million Jews in particular.
6 million Jews in particular.
Yeah.
And then, I already said the handicapped and the gypsies.
Pretty much, if you were not white, blue eyes, and blonde hair, or just white, if you weren't white.
Yeah, there's a lot of brown-eyed people out there.
Yeah,
as long as they could prove they weren't Jewish.
It's because Hitler was
or Romanian.
brown eyes. Hitler's ideology of the Aryan race supremacy was a virulent anti-Semitism. Semitism drove a campaign of mass murder that remains unparalleled in its brutality. Hitler's rise to power began in the 1920s as the leader of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, aka the Nazi Party. Capitalizing on Germany's economic woes and national humiliation during World War I, Hitler promised to restore Germany to its former glory.
Yep, and all the Germans are like, yes, bro, do it.
Well, not all of them.
Obviously.
Upon becoming chancellor in 1933, he quickly dismantled the Weimar Republic's democratic institutions, establishing a totalitarian regime.
Most of Germany blamed the Republic for the downfall. It's why they lost World War I.
Yeah, absolutely. And people that already didn't like Jews in Germany at the time, but it was just like it's an easy person to blame. Like, I'm not saying that they're easy to blame, but I'm saying like Hitler used them because they already had broken, beaten down from the war.
Yep.
You know, and it was just he just picked a group he didn't like.
I'm sure he has his reasons.
Yeah, I'm sure he does, but
Whatever they were.
they were wrong. But yeah,
He was wrong for everything he did.
yep. The persecution of Jews and other minorities began almost immediately.
Yes, but no.
They ramped it up. They started slow, ramped it up.
Yeah.
Culminating in the Nuremberg Laws of 1935, which stripped Jews of their rights as citizens.
Yep. Because he started it when he was, like, before he was chancellor. He started it with his little secret service group.
Yeah.
People were out there beating up Jews and just terrorizing them, really.
Yeah, it was pretty much a gang.
Yeah, I was like,
It was like a small
yeah.
gang.
But unfortunately, the easily influenced, like the children,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, there's still people who are like, oh, you know, we grew up with, you know, this Jewish family next door. We're still friends with them. But by the time it was like 1935, the Nuremberg laws, it was too late.
Yeah. It's conditioning.
Yep. People turned them in.
And out of fear of being even slightly connected to them, they turned on them so fast. Like I said, there was good people. There was good people in Germany who hid the Jews.
Yep.
Who
like, helped them.
Who,
you know, before the borders were closed, helped them get out.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely. And then even after the borders were closed, they helped them get out.
that was a lot harder.
Yeah, it was, and they got killed for it. So
yeah, if they were caught,
like I said,
they were
there's
killed.
in every country, in every situation,
There's good guys.
there's
and
good
there's bad
people.
guys.
there's good people, but there's just a lot more bad guys.
Yeah, well, not bad. It's just easier to go with what everybody else is doing. You know what I'm saying?
Go with the flow, yeah.
Like-
With me, it's like you can't say, "Oh, if I was there and that time, I would do this." No one can say that. That's bullshit. Because you don't know, for one, you don't know who you're going to be born into family-wise. You don't know the conditioning. Conditioning a human is a lot easier than one would think.
Yeah, I mean, when Hitler first started coming into power, the Jews in Germany didn't flee. They knew what he was capable
Yeah, they're
of.
just like, oh, you know.
It'll pass.
Yeah, it'll pass. It's just a...
You know, just a couple laws
yeah.
here and there. You know, we can't have shops.
Oh, they would never pass this law. There's
Yeah.
no way they could get this
Exactly.
through and stuff. Yeah.
A lot of the German Jews stayed because they thought it would pass.
Yeah.
They thought that it would be over. Like no
Well,
one,
that and it was their
no one's
whole-
gonna let Hitler do this
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like they thought that somebody would stand up for them, and nobody did. And so
Or they did, or immediately were murdered.
it depends. I mean, Hitler had a way of doing things without putting his name on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but like the people in the Nazi Party, like the killing groups,
hmm
you know, the mobile units,
Yeah.
that, you know, they were ordinary men, right?
Yeah.
Lawyers, doctors.
Mhm.
They wouldn't have done something like this outside of, you know.
Yeah. The Nazi Party was probably the most successful cult
Yeah. The
to ever be.
mobile killing units didn't establish if you disagree with this, you know, rounding up Jews from different areas in Poland or, you know, Czechoslovakia and killing them, taking them into the woods and shooting them, that you're going to be killed. They were told, well, that we'll give you different jobs. You can be a cook.
Yeah.
But they weren't threatened with death, right, if they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Just becoming a black sheep, right?
Yeah. A pariah.
Social.
Yeah, social pariah. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of men don't like that. So they played them well. And men who never would have done this regularly were now doing it daily.
Yeah.
And, you know, they broke up into like 3 different groups. The men who don't like it, which were the cooks, the cleaners,
Yeah.
the men who did it but didn't want to be there, right?
Yeah.
They were like desensitized to it all.
hmm
Like they would throw up or get drunk after every killing party.
Yeah.
And then the men who joke about it, who think it's funny, who enjoy it.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And how do you persecute someone who's literally just doing their job? They're not doing it for fear of death in some killing groups, not all of them.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they don't want to be the
Left
weirdo.
out. Yeah, they don't want to be left out. They don't want to be
They don't want to
exiled
be
and
ridiculed and picked on, and sometimes physically hurt.
yeah, and like I said, that right there all happened before World War II even broke out. So it, like I said, like when you say, "Oh, why didn't they just go against
Why
it?"
didn't they just
I was
not?
like, because of the conditioning. And it's like when you're told something every single day,
Yep.
24 hours a day, you're gonna start believing it. Like say that thing when like you tell a lie enough, you start to believe it yourself.
Yeah.
That's how it was. That's how the Nazi Party did.
A lot of people just turned their head.
Yeah.
Like the people who are like, we didn't know.
Yeah, we
They
didn't know
all
that
knew.
this camp was over here that smelt like absolute death.
We didn't know. No, you did know.
You did. You just chose to look away.
Yeah,
you turned a blind eye.
pretended that it wasn't there.
The onset of World War II in 1939 marked the beginning of the most horrific phase of Hitler's genocidal policies.
That he never put his name on.
Nope. The final solution.
The final solution. That's what's his name? His second in command.
Goebbels?
Yep.
Yep.
That was all him.
Yep. This plan aimed to exterminate the Jewish population of Europe, along with the Romani people, disabled individuals, political opponents, and other groups deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime.
Yep. The homosexuals,
Yep.
the child predators, they were lumped in together.
Yeah.
People of color, really.
Yeah.
Anybody who's not white, like you said.
Like
It
I
was
said, I
bad.
agree with the child predators.
It was bad. It was rough.
The Holocaust was carried out with industrial efficiency, with millions being deported to concentration and extermination camps.
Yeah, and before
where-
that was the ghettos.
Yeah, where they are systematically murdered. Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor are just a few names among the many death camps where unimaginable atrocities occurred.
Yep. I've read a lot. And there's certain camps that you went to.
Mhm.
They're work camps. You die there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're made for work. And then when the final solution started, they didn't kill them there at the work camps.
No, they would ship them.
moved them.
Yeah, so that the other
to the
Jews
death
would
camps.
work still.
Yep.
There was a thing where they were talking about how men were lined up and told to kneel, and one officer would shoot them in the head, and none of them ran.
No,
They just
why would they?
waited to get shot. They were defeated, and like spiritually and soully, they were.
They weren't. They
defeated.
didn't feel like they were human anymore at that
Yeah.
point.
So it's like, why?
Yep.
Like I'm not gonna like you
And
were like, oh, I'm not gonna make it easy
Like
for
you
them.
said,
It's like, yeah,
conditioning.
Yeah.
They conditioned them because some of these people stayed in the camps, the work camps. They went from ghettos to work camp to work camp to work camp to the death camp,
yeah,
and not to count the death march,
yeah.
right? Which it's amazing that we were able to liberate anybody.
Yeah.
Some of the I could never imagine
Yeah.
reading some
Well,
of the survivor stories.
the people that were saved were shells of humans
Yep.
almost. So it's like,
They had to be watched
yeah,
between suicide, overeating, and dying.
Mhm.
It's just, like some of them ran just because they could, so they would have to go back and go find them, bring them back. Some of them would die, not trusting anybody.
yeah.
It was just like I said, the
How
survivor.
do you trust people after that? Like, how do you trust
I would never.
anyone?
I would never, especially the people who had other people tattle on them.
Yeah, like friends, like
No.
people that you thought were friends.
People you grew up with, and they're like, "Oh no, this guy's a Jew." It doesn't matter what his paperwork says.
Yeah, and it's not like life got better. It got way better after they weren't in concentration camps, but like socially, like they still didn't like you. No. Like so,
And they tolerated them better.
yeah,
There was one that survived that he became a congressman in the United States.
wow, that's amazing. That's a true. That story should be told a lot more.
Yeah, I thought so too. But something that I found amazing in the survivor stories that I read is how much they still believed in their God, right?
Yeah.
Like it didn't go away. Like,
Well,
through all the things they dealt
yeah,
with.
but that also keeps you alive.
Yeah,
the
but
faith.
I've read only one or two stories where they are atheists now.
My thing is, I think it's more Christianity that does which a lot of Christians were killed too. My thing is like, okay, you believe in God and stuff. Do do they forgive them? Like, you know, like when Christians and stuff,
would
like
never
when
ask
something
someone
bad.
that.
I know. That is pretty shitty to ask. But that's just like a curiosity of mine. Like, did you forgive the Nazis for doing this to you? Like I hope not, because even then, I mean, like that's pretty crappy for you to have to forgive someone who
hurt you that bad. I mean,
hurt you, tortured you, killed
you.
your children,
your family,
yeah.
And most of the survivor stories I read are men.
Yeah, because
they're mostly men.
Yeah.
There's some women, and it was harder for women to survive.
It was harder for them to survive, and that you got to think about it. After the war, women didn't start getting a voice until much later. So, I mean, Anne Frank, I think, is the most famous female to write something.
I was going to say
that comes out of that.
And there's controversy.
Yeah, it's something about like he didn't release the full journal because she talked about like her period or something.
Not only that, but also they are accusing him now of writing some of it. The dad.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but
and what's even worse is she didn't live. So
no. The war itself, driven by Hitler's expansionist ambitions, resulted in the deaths of an estimated 70 million people, making it the deadliest conflict in human history.
Sure was.
Hitler's evil lies not only on the sheer scale of the atrocities he committed, but also in the ideological zeal with which he pursued them. His legacy is a testament to the dangers of unchecked power, hate, and extremism.
Yep.
Reasons why he's not higher up on this list is because I feel that the Nazi Party was the embodiment of evil, not just one person. Because if Hitler wasn't there, you had Goebbels, you had Himmel.
Yep.
You had other people that could have been just as bad or even worse.
Goebbels would have been worse.
Yeah, which is why I felt that he deserved to be number 4.
Yeah.
Because
he still deserved top 5.
He's still evil. I mean, top five out of everyone on Earth to ever have lived. That's pretty freaking evil. But like I said, it's more of a if an organization, if we had top 10 evil organizations, Nazi Party and Hitler would be number one every time, and even governments number 1.
Yep.
But
Stalin
like I said,
would have been up there a little higher too.
As Adolf Hitler, it was more if he wasn't there, it would have been just as bad, if not worse. Or say he was murdered by someone, or we sent an assassin over there and killed him. Goebbels or Himmler would have took over, and it would have been just as bad or worse.
It would have been worse.
Number 3, Mao Zedong.
I knew that was coming too.
1893 to 1976. Mao Zedong.
1893.
1893 to 1976. That's a long time. That's a very long time. The founding father of the People's Republic of China led a series of policies that caused some of the most extensive human suffering in the 20th century. Mao's quest to transform China into a communist utopia led to catastrophic social and economic upheavals that resulted in the deaths of tens of millions of people. It's amazing that China is like as far along as they are, just with how many leaders they had that pretty much wiped out most of the population. Mao's quest to transform China into the Great Leap Forward, initiated by Mao in 1958, was intended to rapidly industrialize China and collectivize agriculture. However, the policies were disastrously implemented, leading to widespread famine. Farmers were forced to abandon their fields to work in poorly constructed industrial projects, and grain was requisitioned for the state, leaving millions to starve. The Great Leap Forward is estimated to have caused the deaths of up to 45 million people.
And that's starvation alone?
Yeah, that's starvation alone, making it the deadliest famine in human history.
That is awful.
The deadliest famine to ever exist, probably still to this day. That is ridiculous.
That is awful.
That many people starving. And starving to death is a horrific way to die. Basically, your body eats itself.
Mm-hmm.
Following this, Mao launched the Cultural Revolution in 1966, a decade-long campaign aimed at preserving his vision of communism by purging remnants of capitalist and traditional elements from the Chinese society. The Cultural Revolution unleashed chaos across China as millions of people were persecuted, tortured, and killed. Intellectuals, cultural figures, and even former political allies were denounced, humiliated, and often executed. Schools were closed, historical artifacts were destroyed, and the social fabric of China was torn apart. Mao's policies and their disastrous consequences have left deep scars on China, and the full extent of his responsibility for the suffering endured by millions remains a subject of debate. Nonetheless, his ruthless pursuit of ideological purity at the expense of human life cements his place among history's most evil people.
I like how he felt like, okay, I get wanting to industrialize, especially if you felt behind.
Yeah.
But how does he go from industrializing and taking away the people that make the food? He's like, we need everybody.
Yeah, for real. It, like I said, some of the thought processes
there isn't any
that go along with these rulers are like, what are you doing?
It's like they're
like they want to keep the people weak so they're more malleable,
which makes sense with the school closing.
Yeah,
but it's not just that. It's like we want you stupid. We want you like terrified.
Yeah, terrified.
You'll
and
do
hungry.
anything for I say jump. Y'all say how high because we don't know any better.
Yeah,
it's just.
And you want to eat? You'll follow my rule.
Yep, you'll follow my rules.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we don't have anybody getting the food anymore. They're in the shitty built industries that I've made.
Yeah,
I can't imagine living through that. I mean,
no, I can't even imagine like. If I don't have something to eat with every 10 minutes, I'm like about to die.
I mean, just even like the thought of food and knowing that it's there. Can you imagine never knowing if you've got food?
No, I really can't.
That'd be awful.
And the fact that everything is pretty much within arm's reach here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, couldn't imagine fighting to like scraping enough just so your kids could eat.
Yep. And then who knows? I mean, how often
and there's
they
people in
resorted
countries
to
doing this now. Like this isn't like an old thing. This is people in countries doing this now.
In the Lord's year of 2024.
Yeah, exactly. It's 2024. No one should ever have to worry about food ever.
Nobody, no, especially in like.
Developed countries.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be insensitive.
Yeah, I know we're not, and this is like, first world problems, but it's like, this is ridiculous.
It is.
Like,
it's ridiculous for anywhere.
For any country that has, just like running water. It's like
that's hard to come by too.
Yeah, it's like what the hell? Come on. All right, number 2, Genghis Khan.
I thought it was be number 1 for sure.
1162 to 1227. Genghis Khan, born Temujin, was the founder and the first great Khan of the Mongol Empire, which became the largest contiguous empire in human history.
Mm-hmm.
While Genghis Khan is often celebrated for his military genius and the unification of the Mongol tribe, his conquests were marked by extreme brutality and mass slaughter.
Can you do both? Can you be like, oh my gosh, he's a great military genius, but he was awful.
Yeah, he was a great military genius. There's no question about it. His tactics were unparalleled. It's just
he was bad.
He was a bad dude.
I was wondering if you could do both. If you could be like, oh my God, I marvel this guy's like his strategy ability, but
Yeah. We still use some of his. We still use his tactics in the United States military.
Mm-hmm.
It's taught. They're taught at West Point. So obviously, like I said, you can have good things come from bad people.
Well,
It's just not a lot.
The Nazis, some of our medical advances.
I think that's more of a myth.
I don't know.
I think Operation Paperclip would be the best thing that would come, that you could even hint that came from that shit afterwards. Like, we wouldn't have went to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't had as far as advancements and weaponry without some of the Nazis we got from Paperclip.
Still, they made advancements because of their
Torturing, yes.
their ability to do things inhumanely.
Yeah, but so Genghis Khan's rise to power was fueled by his ability to unite the fractious Mongol tribes under his leadership. But once he established his dominance, his focus shifted to expansion.
So he was a talker.
Yeah, he was very charismatic. His military campaigns, which extended across Asia and into Europe, were characterized by their ferocity and the wholesale destruction of cities and civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
Those who resisted the Mongols were met with utter annihilation. Entire populations were slaughtered, and the cities were razed to the ground.
I thought he was the one that left the one person from each place alive so they could tell the story.
Yeah.
Was that him? I was wondering if it was him.
He would kill everyone. If they fought back at all, he would kill everyone except for one person.
So they could go tell somebody else.
Tell the story.
In a way, that'd be like, if you heard that kind of story, firstly, I guess I forgot men.
Yeah.
I mean, if a man heard that, he's going to be like, oh, I can fight him. I can win.
I could win, man.
I could win. Or obviously, you have trauma.
Yeah.
Your story is greatly exaggerated. And then when Genghis Khan comes, you're like,
with his horde.
Oh, with his horde. And then you're like, I can do this. I can do this.
No.
And then they're like, oh.
Yeah. One of the most notorious examples of Genghis Khan's cruelty was the siege of Nesabur in 1221. After the Mongols captured the entire city, Genghis Khan ordered the execution of every living being within the walls. Men, women, and children, even animals. It was estimated that 1.7 million people were killed in this single event, at a staggering testament to his scale of Khan's ruthlessness. He killed 1.7 million people in one city in his armies, but
had them
ordered
killed.
it. They didn't do anything without his order.
Yeah, exactly.
Genghis Khan campaigns are believed to have caused the deaths of up to 40 million people. His reign of terror reshaped entire regions, depopulated vast areas, and left a legacy of destruction that echoed to the centuries. But apparently, the carbon footprint that he left behind, because he killed a quarter of the world's population at the time.
Mm-hmm.
A quarter. So everybody in the entire world, he killed a quarter of them.
Well, this is
him and his army. Just him.
The 1200s?
Yeah, just him. Genghis Khan and his horde took out a quarter of the world. That is... I don't think you're grasping the ridiculousness of that.
Oh, I get the ridiculousness. It's just shitty for anyone who wasn't Genghis Khan.
Yeah. While his achievements as a conqueror are undeniable, and the unimaginable human cost of his empire building earns him a place on this list, and that's why he's number 2. It's, like I said, you cannot fathom how many people they murdered. And it just wasn't murdered either. They did other stuff to these people. The people who were lucky enough to live through these hordes coming through were not graciously, they weren't like, oh, come in with us. No, they were slaves. Women were essayed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was not a great time. If you saw the horde coming, you were like, whoa. And I know you don't watch Game of Thrones, but the Dothraki are based off the Mongols.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1. Who do you think number 1 is?
Well, we already went through everybody. I thought Genghis Khan was going to be number one.
Mm. A lot of people are going to be shocked with this and probably potentially mad about it, but I have my reasons.
Well, which we'll hear at the end.
Yeah. Vlad the Impaler.
He's a vampire guy.
1431 to 1476.
1431 to 1476.
Mm-hmm. He died at 45 years old. Vlad III, also known as Vlad the Impaler or Vlad Dracula,
So I said the vampire guy.
was a 15th century ruler of Wallachia, a region of present-day Romania. His nickname, the Impaler, comes from his favored method of execution, impalement.
Wait. I thought that was like a when they were dead thing.
No.
Oh.
And a gruesome practice that involved driving a stake through a person's body and leaving them to die a slow and agonizing death.
Can you imagine, like, living near that and listening to them die?
Yeah, that'd be horrific.
It would be so sad.
Vlad ruled Wallachia during a time of constant warfare, particularly against the Ottoman Empire. His reign was marked by a campaign of terror designed to intimidate both his enemies and his own people. Vlad's cruelty knew no bounds. He impaled tens of thousands of people, including men, women, and children.
What would a child do to get impaled?
Cry when he was trying to talk. I don't know. Like, he was, like I said, there's a reason why I put him as number one. It's said that he once invited hundreds of Balars, noblemen, to a banquet, only to have them all impaled afterwards to eliminate potential rivals.
Well, I think that would work.
Yeah. One of the most infamous incidents attributed to Vlad occurred when he impaled 20,000 Ottoman soldiers in the forest near the city of Tarkavasi, leaving the bodies on display as a warning to invaders. The sight of the forest of the impaled reportedly struck such terror into the hearts of the approaching Ottoman army that they turned back without engaging in battle. They came across this forest of the impaled and was like, nope, we're good.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah. Vlad's reign was characterized by extreme brutality and a near pathological need to instill fear in those around him. His sadistic methods and sheer scale of his atrocities have earned him a lasting place in history as one of the most evil figures to have ever lived. Vlad's legacy was so terrifying that his name and deeds inspired the legend of Count Dracula in Bram Stoker's book.
How does impaling people lead to vampirism?
There was other incidents. There was like he bathed in blood. He drank blood. He only drank blood and stuff.
No wonder he only made it to 45.
Yeah. So Count Dracula in Bram Stoker's book is the embodiment of pure evil.
Right.
Dracula means son of the dragon. His father's name was Dracul. He added an A, son of the dragon, Dracula. Like I said, this guy is beyond evil. Just the fact that he impaled children.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not evil. I just wanted to know the connection between making him a vampire.
There was a lot of legends going around. Dracula comes from actually a Romanian legend of vampire. So
I mean, I know vampirism hasn't. I mean, like likely.
Yeah, but when you think of who is the most evil fictional character, like most people think Dracula, they really do. Like when you're just like name an evil, it's the easiest to remember Dracula, the evil vampire. But Bram Stoker's book didn't even have Dracula's point of view. It was like journal entries. The book was just like journal entries from Van Helsing, Jonathan Harker.
I never read Dracula.
It's such a good book.
And I don't know. I don't know how often I've ever read a bad guy's point of view. Really.
I don't know. A lot of people think like, why did he do it? Why did he
do it? He wasn't human anymore.
Yeah, I know, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, why did Vlad the Impaler impale people? He liked it. He was sadistic. He was
also obsessed with
and we don't know.
fear.
We also don't know how many people he actually did kill. There's like one of those things where it's like how many people did he kill? We don't really know. We can't pin it down. With Adolf Hitler, we knew the Nazi Party killed
they
a
kept
shitload of people.
documentation.
Yeah, they recorded everything. That was the dumbest thing ever. Good on our part, because now we know what happened and what they did. But at the time, there was like, well, I mean, they thought they were going to win. So there you have it. The top 10 most evil people in human history. Each of these figures inflicted unimaginable suffering and death upon millions of people. Their actions serve as grim reminders of the capacity of cruelty that lies within humanity, and the importance of vigilance to ensuring that such horrors are never repeated again.
Okay, how do you stop someone like Vlad the Impaler?
Well, for one, it doesn't work. It really doesn't, because you had Hitler, and then you had like Idi Amin and Mao Zedong and Pol Pot. They're all after Hitler. Like, it didn't work. It was like Hitler made a roadmap.
Exactly. Other people who, like-minded people.
Yeah.
You know, it's stupid, but there's always going to be awful people.
Oh, yeah. It's human nature. There's always going to be
always be awful people that get to power. I mean, it's going to be a forever kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
that's sad.
Of course it's sad.
Yeah.
Especially for, the people who have to endure whatever comes next. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so much bad crap going on now.
And I have to like put human history, because I mean, we don't know. There could be some really bad primates.
You're talking like
No. The reason I say human history is because, like, for one, we have no idea if there's life outside this planet, and I'm sure their history could be just as bad as us,
or better.
Yeah, probably
you
worse.
Never know.
It's probably just as bad.
You can't put human mannerisms on things that you don't know even exist.
What if there's other humans out there? Or humanoids?
They don't have to be like
that,
us.
And there's robots coming.
Robots are coming from where?
What? We're building them.
Oh.
I'm just saying, like, after humans die off, and the next generation of whatever comes after us could be worse.
More dinosaurs.
Yeah. Dinosaurs, T-Rexes, man. T-Rexes are the most evil dinosaurs. They killed genocidal. They killed millions of, like, long necks.
Long necks, yeah. Especially Littlefoot's mom.
Yeah, Littlefoot's mom. That sharp tooth. That's probably the most evil thing in history.
Sharp tooth.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the darkest chapters of history. If you found this episode insightful, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for more explorations into the complex and often troubling stories of our past. Until next time, stay curious, keep seeking the truth, and experience the bizarre. Thank you.